Hello. Um, my name is Casey Anderson, and I hope that you bear with me because this is the first time I've done a video cam. But I want to speak with all of you, especially Minnesota right now, because this year on the ballot there are some very important questions that are being posed. And one of them is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the marriage amendment on should our Constitution be amended to make marriage between only one man and one woman. And I am personally voting no on this issue. And I would ask, first of all, for all of you who are married, who are going to be getting married, why are you doing that? Why did you get married? Why do you want to get married? Myself personally, I'm getting married next September, and I'm getting married because I am in love with the man that I'm going to be getting married to. I couldn't imagine, waking up next to anybody else, and I want to wake up every morning and look into that face and see him. And I don't want to do that with anybody else. And, looking into his eyes, I can see the love that he feels for me, even when I've, used my magical ability to annoy the crap out of him. He still looks at me with love and with caring and tenderness, and I want that every day for the rest of my life. Um, and that's, that love, that commitment, that togetherness is why I'm getting married and why, you know, anybody would want to get married, to have that freedom to marry the person that they love. And for me personally, this amendment would wreck that, would take away those freedoms from those people. We could get into a theological debate on why, marriage is okay or isn't okay or what have you, but that just would be silly, and we'd sit here for hours on end and get absolutely nowhere. I can go into the facts that it is still illegal in Minnesota for gay people to get married. There is a law that marriage is between one man and one woman. And so, no matter what, if this amendment fails, that's still there. November 7th, people aren't going to be running out getting married. Um, that's not the way that that works. And so, you can go on again to, your children. Your children are going to run home from school going, Mommy, I can marry a princess. Well, I myself personally would rather have that conversation with my child about how I feel personally on these issues, about how my upbringing, my religion, my views on life have brought me to this focal point. I want to have that family discussion instead of having my son come home and go, Mommy, why can't my uncle get married in the state that watched him grow, you know, because these people decided that his marriage and his freedom to choose isn't worth what my marriage is. It's not okay simply because he's in love with somebody of the same sex. I don't want to have that conversation. I would rather tell my son, that these are our views and this is the way that this works, and, you know, I'm molding you to go off into the world and make your own decisions. And that conversation I would much rather have than the conversation of Minnesota took away the freedoms for your uncle. And like I just brought up, I have a brother who is gay. He lives in Canada right now with his significant other, and they are both very much looking forward to the day that they decide that they're going to get married. Right now, they're both going to school, going to college, and they have made that decision that that school needs to come first so that they can support whatever family that they may one day have together, which is a very smart adult decision that most people make throughout their lives, that I'm going to do this first before I do this, that this is the responsible adult thing to do. And my brother and his significant other had come up here last holiday season and had gone through Walmart, and a man followed them around and just badgered them, called them horrible names, and followed them throughout this entire store. And nobody stopped him. Nobody stood up for my brother. Nobody said, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong, no matter who you're badgering right now. That's uncalled for." Nobody did that. And for me, if this amendment passes, that further ingrains that hatred, that tells that person that what they did was okay. Nobody's going to stop them and to go ahead and do it again. My brother grew up here, and people at our school would make fun of him. We lived in a small town and people would badger him. There was one girl that would stand up every day and yell out fag when he got off of the bus. And nobody, not even the bus driver, stopped her and said, hey, that's not okay. And my brother would come home and he would cry, and he would cry by himself because he didn't know if his family would support him and love him because of the way that people acted. He didn't know if he could trust his own family because of the actions of others. And this amendment further tells my brother and people that have gone through and are going through the same struggles as him that we don't want you, that your freedoms are not our freedoms, that you are not worth as much as we are worth. And to me, that is not okay. And again, my brother went to a church around here when he was younger, and he was just taken away by the show of love for God and for Jesus, and he wanted that. He wanted to be a part of that. And then the pastor got up and did a sermon about how, God hates gay people. And my brother is Christian. He does have a walk in faith. And he has that love now with God, but it took him a while to see it because of people, because of the way that people acted. Um, and again, this amendment just further ingrains that hatred into everything else. And so I ask you that if you know people that are gay, to sit down and talk to them about this amendment. If you are choosing to vote yes to take away the freedoms of other people, I urge you to actually look into it and to think about your marriage and why you did that. And again, you can get into a theological debate, or you can say that your church still has that freedom to choose. And so, what gives you the right to take those freedoms away from somebody else? And just sit down and think about that if you could. And that's really what I have to say.